Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly thrilled to have you here because, honestly, we are about to tackle one of the absolute most fascinating, mind-bending questions in all of philosophy. We are diving deep into the epistemology of justification. Now, I know that sounds like a big, fancy academic phrase, but the core question we're dealing with is actually pretty simple. Simple, but incredibly profound. Can we ever truly be justified in our beliefs about the external world? Like, how do we actually know that what we think is true is, actually true? Get comfortable, because we're about to question the very foundation of your thoughts. Okay, let's dive right in. I want you to literally pause for a second and ask yourself, why do you believe what you believe? If you think it's raining outside right now, why? Is it just because you saw water hitting the window? If you think Paris is the capital of France, why do you believe that? Did a teacher tell you? We all walk around all day with thousands of these beliefs rattling around in our heads, and we act as if they are absolute facts. But today, we're putting those beliefs under a microscope to see what's actually holding them up. To do that, we really need to nail down our core term for the day, and that is justification. So what is it? Justification is simply providing reasons in favor of the truth of a belief. It's that logical support you offer. For instance, you are totally justified in believing that a dog is a mammal because you know that all dogs are mammals. That logical chain? That gives you justification. But, and this is absolutely crucial to remember, justification only makes a belief more likely to be true. It absolutely does not guarantee the truth. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go, because you can have a highly justified belief that still turns out to be completely 100% wrong. So here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the nature of justification. Second, the big debate of internalism versus externalism. Third, the structure of beliefs. And finally, the fallibility of justification. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, internalism versus externalism. This is where things get really interesting, because philosophers fiercely debate where our justification actually comes from. Does it have to come from inside our own minds, or can it come from the outside world? And so we have these two heavyweights, internalism and externalism. Internalism basically argues that justification is determined solely by factors internal to your mind. You have to have conscious, cognitive access to your reasons. You must be able to internally rule out alternatives right there in your head. Externalism, on the flip side, says, well, no, justification can actually rely on factors outside your mind, specifically reliable external sources or historical causes of your belief, even if you can't currently access them in your own head. Let me give you a great example from our source material to make this super concrete. Imagine I come up to you and say, hey, I know Aristotle wrote about unicorns, but to be honest, I completely forget where I learned that. Like, was it a reliable scholarly textbook, or did I just read it from some random guy on Reddit? According to an internalist, I am not justified in this belief. Why? Because I've completely lost my mental cognitive access to the source. I can't bring the reason up in my mind. But an externalist looks at this completely differently. They would say, hey, if you originally learned that fact from a highly reliable scholarly text, then your belief actually is justified, regardless of whether your memory can access that source right this second. It's the external history of the belief that actually matters. Which brings us to a really famous externalist theory by the philosopher Alvin Goldman, which he called historical reliabilism. Let's use a calculator analogy here. When you type a massive equation into a calculator and it spits out an answer, do you need to personally understand the internal circuitry and the complex programming of that calculator to be justified in believing its answer? Goldman argues, absolutely not. The mere fact that the calculator is a reliable belief-forming process gives you justification. You just have to trust the process. As long as the process that caused the belief is reliable, an externalist says you are totally justified. Moving right along to Section 2, the structure of beliefs. So we've looked at individual beliefs, but, our minds aren't just a bunch of isolated islands of facts. How do we structure them all together to create this thing we call knowledge? Well, there are two main theories, and the first one is called foundationalism. Foundationalists argue that justification has to terminate somewhere. The chain of whys eventually has to stop. Let's break it down. Say a student named Ella believes the Battle of Hastings happened in 1066. Why? Because her professor told her. Why does she believe her professor told her? Because she remembers it. Why does she trust her memory? Do you see how these beliefs just rest on top of other beliefs? Foundationalism says most of our beliefs are inferential, meaning they rely on inferences from other beliefs. But eventually, you've got to hit a basic foundational belief. And that foundation must rest on non-inferential justification. It's the bedrock. It's where the questioning simply stops. Think of foundationalism literally like building a house. The roof and the walls, those are your inferential beliefs. But they absolutely must rest on a solid foundation or the whole thing is going to collapse.
The French philosopher René Descartes believed this foundation had to be made of indubitable beliefs, things that absolutely, positively cannot be mistaken. Bertrand Russell talked about a similar idea called knowledge by acquaintance. Imagine seeing a bright green orb right in front of your face. You might not know exactly what it is, but you literally cannot be mistaken about the fact that you are experiencing the visual sensation of a green orb. That direct, undeniable experience, that's the non-inferential bedrock that foundationalists are looking for, to build a whole house of belief.
But, as you might guess, not everyone buys the house analogy. Let's look at the main opposing view, coherentism. Coherentism completely throws out the idea of a linear, bottom-up foundation. Coherentists argue that we don't actually need basic, indubitable bedrock beliefs at all. Instead, they look for logical consistency. For them, a belief is justified simply by how well it fits in, logically, with everything else you already believe. So coherentism is best visualized not as a house, but as a spider web. Think about it. A single strand of a spider web is incredibly weak on its own. It'll snap in a breeze. But when you weave it together with hundreds of other strands, the whole network becomes remarkably durable. Here's a great real-life example. Suppose I'm trying to remember where my friend Farouk is from. I kind of think he's from Tennessee. I'm not totally sure, but then I remember, wait, he always wears a University of Tennessee hat, he's got a slight Southern twang, and he's constantly telling stories about hiking the Smoky Mountains. None of those isolated facts alone strictly prove he is from Tennessee, but when you weave them together, they mutually reinforce each other. The web gets stronger, and my belief is suddenly completely justified. Now, that sounds pretty elegant, but coherentism has some really serious pitfalls. Well, first up, you've got this huge problem of circularity. Because there's no foundational bedrock, beliefs can easily end up just endlessly justifying each other in a giant loop. Belief A supports belief B supports belief C, and belief C loops right back around to justify belief A. If the whole system is just floating in the air like this, is anything actually justified? The second, and perhaps even more terrifying flaw, is known as the isolation objection. And this brings us to Dinah in virtual reality. Imagine a woman named Dinah who has been trapped in a highly detailed, flawless virtual reality simulation for years. Inside this VR world, every single one of her beliefs is incredibly coherent. All of her experiences perfectly support one another. By a strict coherent to standard, her beliefs are entirely justified. But here is the catch. She is completely isolated from actual reality. Every single thing she believes about her physical world is a complete illusion. Dinah's story brilliantly illustrates that internal coherence does not in any way guarantee truth. All right, let's move into our final section, the fallible nature of justification. It's time for a bit of a reality check. We've talked all about how we try to justify our beliefs, but now we have to face the slightly uncomfortable fact that the tools we use to build these beliefs are inherently flawed. Here are the 4 primary sources we rely on every single day to form our beliefs: memory, inference, testimony, and perception. We basically build our entire lives on these 4 pillars. But, as we're about to see, every single one of them has a built-in weakness. They are all highly fallible. Let's break them down. Let's start with memory. We trust our memories implicitly, right? But philosophers draw a very vital distinction here: actually remembering something versus merely seeming to remember it. If you actually remember something, great, you have justification. But if you only seem to remember it, like maybe you're slightly misremembering the exact details of a conversation you had 5 years ago, you don't have justification. And the truly scary part? To your conscious mind, actually remembering something and falsely seeming to remember it feel exactly 100% identical. Next up is inference, basically our logical reasoning. Now, even if you are an absolute master of logic, you're still vulnerable. Inductive reasoning, which we literally use constantly every day, only ever provides probability, never certainty. And what about perfect deductive logic? Well, deductive reasoning is essentially like a computer program. It takes input beliefs and arrives at a conclusion. In computer science, they have a saying for this: garbage in, garbage out. If your input premises are false, your perfect logic is just going to perfectly output a completely false belief. Then there's testimony. Now, in philosophy, testimony doesn't just mean what happens in a courtroom on a witness stand. It means literally any information you get from others: lectures from your professors, nonfiction books, blogs, or the evening news. We rely on the testimony of experts all the time, and generally, sure, it's a very reliable source of justification.
But we have to remember, experts are human too. The people providing the testimony are vulnerable to the exact same failures of memory, inference, and perception that we are currently discussing. Finally, we reach perception, our very own senses. Take a look at the famous Mueller-Lyer illusion here. When you look at those top two lines, your eyes are forcefully telling you that they are different links, but they are actually the exact same size. This just proves that even if you firmly believe we directly perceive the real world, you have to admit that our senses can hallucinate, they can create illusions, and they can completely misrepresent reality to our brains. So where does that leave us? I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought today. We've seen that justification really only makes a belief more likely to be true. It simply doesn't guarantee it. And if the very tools we use to navigate the world, our own memories, our deepest logic, our trusted experts, and literally our own eyes, can all be tricked, can we ever be entirely, absolutely certain our beliefs are justified? Or is there always going to be room for a little philosophical skepticism? I encourage you to look at the world just a little bit differently today. Question your assumptions, and maybe take a closer look at the foundations of your own house of belief. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning everything, and I will see you